Okay, I want to show a couple things here. We bought a couple of 2014 TDI Jettas, and this test was done July 22nd of 2015. We were making different fuel additives for the Volkswagen diesels. So this was before the government mandate came out that said they were cheating on their fuel, and these are actually live tailpipe driving tests. Now, we can start off over here. We have an uphill 65 mile an hour test using number 2 fuel. And you can see the additive and the no additive right here in the top line. We're going to go over here, and the top line says your parts per million of CO, parts per million of NOx, and so on. If you look, the first column is with the Turbo Maxx, and the second column is before the car ever had anything in it at all, had around 5,000 miles on the engine. You look here at the oxygen. It's putting out the tailpipe 11.56% oxygen and 10.39%. The carbon is at 2 parts per million and 133 parts per million, which is very low. That's 65 miles an hour. Now we'll go down here just a little bit and you'll see we have 3 miles an hour or 45 miles an hour for a 3 mile period, and then it was tested to make sure that it had a long burn time at a constant speed. It was putting out 21% oxygen and 19% oxygen without 48 parts per million at 45 miles an hour, and zero with the Turbo Maxx. And if you notice, it's also putting out more oxygen with the Turbo Maxx. I'll go over here, and you can see all the consistent numbers, the NOx gases and whatnot. Those are all what cause your acid rains. The ppm of the NOx went from 689 to 155 at highway speed. That's one of the biggest ones that they're complaining about now, or had to change because that number was so high. But with running the Turbo Maxx, you don't have that problem. The NO, which is the nitric oxide, is down to 122 parts per million. And your CO2 has gone to 4.06. Now, one of the reasons we did all this is because we were in competition with another company called Archoil. Archoil made claims that their fuel additive was good for the environment. Well, now we're going to go over here and we're going to show a comparison between the Turbo Maxx, which is already shown to be considerably better than just plain fuel with nothing in it. And if you look at 65 miles an hour, the oxygen on the Archoil is only putting out 5.94%. And the parts per million of CO at 65 miles an hour, which is the top 2 rows, is 2 parts per million for Turbo Maxx C4 and 300 parts per million for the Archoil 6200. Now, if you look over here, that is, in comparison, I have to look on my sheet here. The parts per million of the NOx gases is better, but the CO fuel without anything is only 133 parts per million. And the NOx gases without any additive in it is 689. With the Arch in it, it's 936. It's worse. It's 3 times worse. The NO2 is 200 parts per million, and down here the NO2 at 65 on the Arch is, or no additive. NO2 is 336, 300, and up here it is 276 and at 84 degrees. That's not very good. So once again, Turbo Maxx, when it comes to Archoil products, they just don't deliver. They might be a little bit cheaper, but they don't deliver what they're supposed to deliver at all. You might get a little bit better fuel mileage, but you get a whole lot better fuel mileage with Turbo Maxx products, and you also get more dependability. And the reason that those NOx numbers are lower is because the combustion temperature is lower. The nitrogen and the oxygen do not fuse together and make the NOx gases, and it's proven. It's proof right here in the temperature and the oxygen coming out the tailpipe. The difference between the Turbo Maxx and the Arch on is almost 6% difference. So there's a better saturation of fuel to oxygen ratio to produce burnt BTUs with the Turbo Maxx than there is with the Archoil or plain diesel fuel. And if you run cetane, it's actually worse yet. It makes more pollution. It might make more power on the dyno, but it doesn't run better than the Turbo Maxx does with nothing in it. And just wanted you guys to see this. We'll get a good look at this so you can pause on your screen and take a good look at this yourself, because I'm not savvy enough to figure out how to get this into the computer digitally without doing it this way. And this one is the same car, and this is the no additive compared to the Turbo Maxx. And this is the 1 milliliter to every 3 gallons, and the same appropriate amount of Archoil as per their directions. See there, the oxygen at the no additive actually puts out more. Actually, it puts out less oxygen than the Arch does. But the Arch puts out more pollution. NO2 is the only one that it does not at highway speeds. And the off-highway stopped, the Arch is down to 4 parts per million, and it actually does attain a 0 parts per million at around 45 miles an hour. But the no additive is at 5 parts per million, so that's not much of an increase. And there you have it. Turbo Maxx and Archoil 6200 and Turbo Maxx C4 comparison driving on the road. You can decide for yourself.